Okay, in today's class, we'll talk about undecidable languages. Okay, so first theorem says there exists a language over sigma which is not recursively enumerable. So, what is the difference between recursively enumerable? I've already told once, I think, and recursive languages. There are two types of languages, right? So, we say a language is recursively enumerable if there is a Turing machine, okay, which accepts, right, on any input within the language. Okay. Remember I said recursively enumerable Turing machine is one which accepts on any input within the language, and recursive is which accepts same Turing machine which accepts on any input within language and also rejects any other output. So recursive is talking about both acceptance as well as rejection, whereas recursively enumerable talks only about the acceptance. Okay, so I hope this is clear for you. So the question here is there exists a language over sigma which is not recursively enumerable. Today's all everything that we are going to discuss today about undecidability, we are going to do it by contradiction. Okay, so some basic definition, that is the language is recursively enumerable if there is a Turing machine, right? And let us say sigma is finite and sigma star is countable. That means there is a one to one correspondence between sigma and n means count. Okay, this is basic definition of Turing machine. You know all these tuples, right? Q, number of states, alphabet, tape symbol, transitions, initial state, blank, and final state, right? And everything is a finite set only. And the machine that we build here, no, Turing machine M, this can be encoded as a string. Okay. So let L be a set of all languages over sigma, which means if sigma is A comma B, we can have many languages over sigma A and B, isn't it? Equal number of A's and B, some number of A's followed by B, or palindrome, or many things. Okay. So L is a set of all languages over sigma, right? So which means it's a subset of sigma star. See, sigma is finite, we know. For example, A comma B is finite. But sigma star, that is all the strings that you can generate using that is infinite. Okay. So basically we are going to show that L is not countable. That's it's infinite. So how do we prove that? We prove that using a contradiction. Let us say it is countable. Okay, ultimately I have to say it's not countable. hmm? So if it's countable, right, this is a set of all languages. I hope you understand. So since it is set of all languages, it might have a language L1, L2, L3 like this, and each of these languages have their own strings. So we can write this sigma star, the strings that you generate using A and B or some sigma, we can write them as w1, w2, w3, etc. So if you have a language Li, any language, okay, we'll call it as 1 if wj belongs to that language, otherwise no. This one is if the string belongs to the language, otherwise no. Okay. So this is a binary sequence we are generating. For L1, if it accepts some string, it could be 1. For L2, if it accepts some string, it could be 0. See, these ones and zeros are associated. So this is a binary sequence. So can I write this Li as a infinite binary sequence now, right? So this L, I am writing it as L1, L2, L3, Li, etc. And language is representing actually strings, isn't it? It will have many strings. So if this string is accepted, then I'm going to write it as 1, otherwise I'm going to write it as 0. So I'm representing this language as a binary sequence. Okay. Now this is L. Let us define a subset L. Okay. And we will use binary sequence y1, y2, y3, etc. where yi is 1 minus xi, which means its complement. So if at all this was 1 here, then it is going to be in yi, it's going to be 0 and vice versa. So you can see if xii is 0, then yj will be 1. And if xii is 1, then yi is going to be 0. So now we made an assumption that subset L is represented by a infinite binary sequence, isn't it? Right? So let us say this binary sequence belongs to some language called as LK. Remember, L is not equal to LK because it's a subset, right? So we know that the string that we are talking about will belong to a language if and only if it doesn't belong to LK. If I am confusing you, remember that here what we took. If xi is 0, then yj is 1. And if it's 1, then it's going to be 0. Isn't it? So by that definition, so if wi belongs to L, then wk will not belong to lk. Okay? If wi belongs to L, then wj will not belong to lk. But this is contradiction, isn't it? Because initially we said that L is countable. And now we see that L is uncountable. So uncountable means what? It will have some members which are not present in the original Turing machine. So this proves that existence of language over sigma is not recursively enumerable. Okay. So the next topic is about this, that is ATM is undecidable. That's what we have to prove. Okay. So what is this kind of Turing machine? So you can see it is represented using M comma W. Means you have designed a Turing machine M which will accept string W. So it's easy. Anything that is recursively enumerable is undecidable, isn't it? Because I told you the definition. Recursive says yes and no both. But recursively enumerable, yes is confirmed, but there is no decidability about no. It would be infinite. So we can prove that it is recursively enumerable. And hence we can prove that it is undecidable. Okay. So how am I going to do? Let us say you are going to construct some Turing machines here. Say that you constructed a Turing machine called as U, and for this Turing machine you give this one as an input. That is, the Turing machine you constructed with the string will be given as a input. Okay. So MW is an input to new Turing machine that you are constructing, which is called as U. Suppose if M enters the accepting state, that means what? You will also accept it, isn't it? See, M is a Turing machine which is designed to accept this. So whenever M accepts this to W, you have used U and you have given the input M to that, isn't it? So if M reaches accepting state, then you will accept this M comma W. So that means what? This is an the initial Turing machine is recursively enumerable. Now we have to decide that it is undecidable, and we do it by using contradiction. Initially we'll assume that the Turing machine is decidable, and then decidable means what? It eventually halts on all input, correct? Either by accepting or not accepting, whatever it is, it will be halting. We'll assume that and then we'll show it is not so. Okay. So to prove that, you can see that we construct a Turing machine H like the U above, again for which you have given M comma W. So if M accepts W, then H will also accept that. If M rejects W, then H will reject this. Okay. This is one Turing machine. Now let us construct another Turing machine, new one. Call it as D. And for this Turing machine D, I will pass H as a subroutine. That means I'll call H from D. Okay. So D calls H to determine what M does when it receives the inputs. Okay. So now what happens is, based on the received information, and we are showing the input like this. Okay. We are showing the input like this, M. So what is this? M, this is a encoded description. If I write it like this, then this is the encoded description of M, okay, as a string. So what we are trying to do, D, right, construct a D. So what is D? If you have given this M as an input to D, one step. Second, D calls H. I told you, no, D will call H as a subroutine. Okay. When it calls H as a subroutine, what is the input to that? The input is this. So basically machine and the encoded format of that machine. If at all H is accepting this, we will write that D will reject it. And if you can see here, if H accepts that, right, D rejects it. And if H rejects it, D will accept it. That is the logic we are going to write, reverse. Okay. So if at all something is accepted by H, D rejects. Okay. And if H rejects, then D accepts. That's how we'll write, invert the logic. Okay. So you can show it, see here. For D, you have given the encoded M. And if M does not accept that, then this will accept, and it will reject if it is accepted by the machine H. Okay. So now, if at all, here this is okay. What if I send D to D itself? Encode the description of D and send it as a subroutine to this itself instead of H. Okay. If I do this, it's like saying D will accept if D does not accept, D will reject if D does not reject. This is a contradiction, and because of this, we can say ATM is undecidable. Okay. Now, the last topic for today is halting problem of Turing machine. Now, to discuss this, we introduce what is called as a reducing or reduction technique. Now, what do I mean by reduction technique? Is very simple. Let us say there is a problem A, and I can say I can reduce it to problem B if the solution that is there for B can be used to solve A also. I'll repeat. Assume there is a big problem A. I can say I can reduce it to problem B if the solution that is there for problem B can also be used to solve the problem A. Now see one example here. You have a square root. Let us say I have to find square root of x power 4 3x square plus 2 is equal to 0. And let us say there is another problem B which will find the square root of x square minus 2 is equal to 0. I will say I can reduce problem A to problem B. Why is it? Because x square minus 2 is there, no? It is a factor of x to the power of 4 minus 3x square plus 2. Okay. So, whatever is the root of this x square minus 2 will definitely also be a root of x to the power of 4 minus 3x square plus 2. I'll repeat again. We took x power 4 minus 3x square plus 2 is equal to 0 as one problem. And B, we have taken x square minus 2 is equal to 0. And I can say this can be reduced to this because x square minus 2 is a factor of this. Since it is a factor of this, any root of x square minus 2 equal to 0 is also going to be a root for x power 4 minus 3x square plus 2 is equal to 0. I hope you understood this. Okay. So this is just a reduction technique, and I am telling I can reduce one problem to another problem. We're going to use it further to discuss about the halting problem of Turing machine. Okay. Undecidability of halting problem. So see here, there is a Turing machine m comma, it's called as halt tm, which is of the form m comma w. That means the Turing machine m halts on input w. We have to say it is undecidable. Okay. Again, we are going to use contradiction. So contradiction means what? We'll initially assume that it is decidable. Okay. So let us say there is a Turing machine M1 and this is equal to halt Tm that we have discussed here. So which means what? This halt Tm should halt for every W using this M, isn't it? So M1 will eventually halt on all M comma W. This is M1. Now let us construct one more Turing machine M2 and give the same input, that is M comma W. Right? So initially what we did, we gave M comma W to M1. Okay. Now for M2 also we are giving the same one. What we are deciding is M1 will, if M1 rejects, then M2 also rejects. If M1 accepts it, because we have assumed it is decidable, no? So if M1 accepts it, I am going to simulate this Turing machine on the input string W till it halts. Okay. So if M1 accepted, I said M2 will also accept, otherwise M2 will reject. See, in step 4, when M1 accepted, right, I said the Turing machine M will halt on W. When we say halts on W, either we have, reached an accepting state called as Q, right? Or let us say some other state called as Q dash. So that when you find the transition from on some symbol called as A from Q dash, let us say it is undefined. Undefined, you remember we designed the Turing machines. No, we defined the transitions only for certain things, and for certain things we may not have written anything. So that means it is undecided, correct? Or undefined, right? So here the same thing. So Q dash A is undefined till some symbol A in W is reached. So if you go back to step 5, right, M2 accepts and in the second case M2 rejects, isn't it? Now from definition of M2, it means that it will be halting eventually, right? It either accepts or rejects, but it halts eventually. Also we said M2 will be acting on M comma W, right? So this is a Turing machine. But this is contradiction, isn't it? Why? Because we already proved previously that ATM is undecidable. And now you are saying that you can generate a Turing machine out of this. So since this is a contradiction, because we already proved previously that ATM is undecidable. Since it's a contradiction to our previous proof, what we assumed, no, that is halt of TM is decidable, is wrong. Since it is wrong, so this is the Turing machine M halts on all W is also undecidable. Okay, I hope this is clear for you. In the next class, we'll see the PCP.